table, and that just wouldn't be possible.
That's always been the position on the town side, and it's the DRA answered the question at our meeting 2 weeks ago, echoing that same sentiment. And it's the same reason that at town meeting we can't have the voters come in and change the terms of the negotiated contract. It's a ratified agreement that's either being presented for an up or down vote. It's a yes or no.
Okay, right now, though, when you have the town warrant, you have whether or not it's recommended by the town council and whether or not it's recommended by the budget committee. Will that still be on the ballot?
I think those are again separate charter issues with whether or not those recommendations appear, and it's not something we would be able to change here.
Okay, well, that was just a question I had.
I think interestingly enough is whether or not if the charter, let's say the charter commission votes, and it's just for hypothetical, it's 9-0 to recommend going to SB2. Will that question appear on the ballot with the town council or budget committee recommendation?
You know, I think we need to change the way we keep saying that, because the vote will be, as you indicated, 9-0 to establish official ballot voting.
That was hypothetically.
And that's not SB2.
And that's hypothetical, of course, but no, it's the way he stated it. So the recommendation would be to have 9-0 go to official ballot voting. We can't go to SB2. That's not within what our voters allowed us to do. Correct?
Well, to me, it's not clear because, Senate Bill 2 is technically official ballot voting. Usually when the question is asked, it's asked in conjunction with Senate Bill 2, which Senate Bill 2 in itself was a Senate bill that was heard or passed in the mid-90s, but it has, and there's been many Senate Bill 2s since then dealing with other subject matters for different sessions. But the actual process we're talking about is official ballot voting.
SB2 is just a trade name that a lot of people apply to it. Every year there's an SB2.
But SB2 is not our charter. And if we were to switch to an SB2 form of government, our charter would be disposed of, and it would be replaced by, that's what he's saying, that it would be replaced by an SB2.
Well, I'm not saying your charter would be replaced by it, but, and I have to read your charter just to find out exactly how you operate, but there may have to be certain changes in your charter to allow Senate Bill 2 to work properly.
I don't have any more questions, thank you.
Thank you, Pauline.
Kathy? Senate Bill 2, if we went to an SB2 form of government, which we can't even really discuss because that's not what our question is, but an SB2 what is the time frame? You see, the way it's set up now is we vote in March when we vote for our elected officials, but towns can go up until June or July, correct, with town meeting?
Senate Bill 2, if you pass it, there's some built-in flexibility, I think, which was what you were referring to with the dates. It allows town meetings to take place in either March, April, or May. I think those are the 3 monthly options that are available. I don't think you can go into June or July.
So does the school have SB2 the vote because you're doing it as a favor, so it's a one-time printed voting thing? Or can you guys or is it mandated in your charter that you have to have it at the same time as the town?
It's not the same time as the town, but I know that the timeline is very set in stone. And we actually work backwards from that March date because when the postings have to be made, when the deliberative session has to be held, when the public hearings have to be held, then we can't miss any of those dates.
But how did you guys come up with the date? Was it to work?
I wasn't on that commission, so I don't know.
Because
I just know that the dates are very inflexible.
Okay.
Yeah, SB2 in the statute allows a window of days for the deliberative session to take place prior to the actual vote.
That's why I'm never home at Christmas.
I know. Or in February you're done.
Any other questions?
I just,
Poses a lot of questions, but not all for David.
I just have one thing that I thought was very interesting in your opening statement. And on the school side, prior to changing to an SB2-like charter, we did have 2,000 or 3,000 people come to the meeting, and it tapered off. Now, the fact is that they may have tapered off because of this quorum issue. I was one of the sponsors of the to change it from 500 to 350, but it didn't work. But I did find, you said 3 items that were very interesting in your opening statement. You said that attendance and participation tails off when people change to an SB2.
During the deliberative part of the process.
The deliberative part. People don't, in other words, today, the statements that were made even today by the public that we only get 300 people in the deliberative session, or excuse me, in the town meeting session. So they taper off, and you get less people that bother to come to that meeting. You indicated that often special interest groups form, which I think is an interesting statement. And you also stated that the citizens' petitions can get changed, and we had a large conversation on that. But I would imagine if special interest groups form, other changes are made by those special interest groups too.
But I want to draw a distinction again between a citizen petition, which is unique to a charter process, versus a petition warrant article, which is...
So I wrote citizens petition. You are really referring to petition warrant articles?
Yes.
So a regular warrant article?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I miss, because we have both of them in our form of government. So the special interest groups form, and then those warrant articles can be changed.
Yes.
Or are changed. And you see that in those governments that have changed to SB2.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
No?
Dave, over the years, I mean, of course, there's almost 17, I think a little over 17,000 registered voters in our town. At our town meeting, we normally get about 300, maybe 305 if we're lucky. But anyways, my thing to you is this the norm throughout the state that have town meetings? Or was there something that came up why they, because I know Auburn just went to SB2 recently, that's part of my district here, and they went for the simple same reason, pretty much because of lack of people showing up. Went to the deliberative so all the people can vote. Is there issues or something that we're missing here that's going on throughout the state on these lack of participation with like us with 300 showing up?
No, I think that that a traditional deliberative town meeting requires a commitment on the part of a voter to go and and sit through the whole thing, which as time goes on, the issues facing towns, especially ones like you have a different form of government, but as town populations explode, the issues before them become more complex. The issues that go on the warrant become more complex. It requires more debate, and people get frustrated when they have to work hard to make a living, and they just don't have the time to show up for maybe 8 hours at a crack to try and solve the town's issues. And times are changing, so I'm not trying to suggest that Senate Bill 2 is bad because the attendance drops off at deliberative meetings. I mean, that may happen in traditional town meetings as time goes on as well. However, the trend seems to be a lot more dramatic once people have the opportunity to vote on the articles on a ballot at their convenience on town meeting day when the polls are open, than it is to sit through 8 hours of heated debate and frustrating questions and at the same time, a mother might have to get dinner on for 5 kids at home. That's the struggle.
And to make a point, I mean, not only is town meetings attendance going down, but official ballot is going down. And if you hadn't had your little hoopla on there, I would have figured we probably would have hit the 7. I mean, for a population of 26,000, and we're only getting 1,700 people, even showing up on that Tuesday all day.
14,000 vote in the presidential election.
Right.
Yet we've elected presidents